Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, and this time I have decided to continue this series. Well, because Cholera was around with Cholera, and as well as Diggity was playing some TMA, but we dragged him over to do some commentary with us as well. If you haven't seen Game 1 of this series, which is the All-Star Tribe StarCraft Race Battle Best League 2009, whatever you want to call it. I did that game by myself because I didn't know anyone else was around, and so that's on my account. But we're going to be continuing on with some multi-commentaries here. This is July Zerg versus Jangbi, and basically it's teams of four of the best players of each race. And in Game 1, July Zerg absolutely Sauron owned the crap out of Best. Best did put up a very good fight, but then just towards the end, Jelizer just unleashed hell on him, and it was just like that scene where he says "Unleash hell" and all the friggin' arrows and bombs and everything come out of everywhere. It was like that, except it was ultralisks and cracklings and three doom drops within the span of 10 seconds on 3 different locations. It was awesome. So we're looking forward to July Zerg perhaps showing some more awesome Zerg play against Jangbi here. Jangbi coming off of some PVZ in the MSL finals. I will not say the result of that, but suffice it to say that he's been practicing his PVZ lately, so he will be well practiced for this matchup and in probably pretty good shape to play against July.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone could be called in a pretty good shape to play the best Zerg versus Protoss player, I would say Jangbi is in a decent shape right now. Jangbi certainly, what I'm not gonna say the results, but he certainly played solid games in the MSL finals and showed that he is generally just a very top-notch player. July Zerg though is historically the best ZVP player in the world, and right now, I mean, there's no Bisu. Is Bisu part of the Protoss team here? I'm just
Bisu
wondering, because
is,
otherwise
yes.
July... Oh, he is. All right, so that might be the one who stops July. I don't know. I mean, Jangbi certainly could do it too. July, he's in the single leagues. He's kind of on and off again. This season, well, yeah, in the MSL and OSL, he was more off than on. But we'll see what they do. The map is Neo Harmony. Neo Harmony is a pretty good map for Zerg. I really like watching ZVPs on this map. They end up being longer than usual in general, and it usually comes down to whether the Zerg can pick up a third base early on. Usually they go for double expand, or sometimes they go for double expand, and that second expansion, which is usually pretty far away, becomes the critical point for the rest of the game, it seems.
So we have July Zerg starting in the upper left-hand corner as the teal Zerg. Upper right-hand corner we have Jangbi as the, I think that was blue Protoss. It was like light blue. It's kind of an off blue color. Hopefully we don't end up confusing. Well, they're the same race, so it won't be, well, they're different races, I should say, so it shouldn't be as much trouble. I'm a little bit ill, so if I'm off, I apologize. But yeah, Jangbi, one of those guys who's just, in particular, he's incredible with Psystorm, and I think if you're good with Psystorm in general, you end up being pretty decent against Zerg. We'll see what he's going to do against July Zerg in this match. I don't think he has the multitasking capabilities that Bisu does, but I think he matches up pretty well against July Zerg. July Zerg, one of those, I guess he's kind of the king of the extremes. He's very, very good at Sauron, and he's very, very good at being small micro Zerg too, which we saw in his protege Hero, who was playing fantastically lately. I won't spoil any of that, I guess, just because why not? If we're not spoiling up to this point, might as not spoil that either. Neo Harmony, though, I think Jangbi's going to have his work cut out for him, just because that secondary, you've got those two directions to come out of, a little bit difficult from that point on. So most of the time, I feel like there's a kind of stereotypical set that Protoss players have to play into at this, and when you're playing against a really talented player like July, July is just the king of exploiting things like that, just because he's creative, he's smart, and he always seems to have a game plan. I think that showed when he played best.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you're definitely right. He always seems to have some sort of plan going in, and yeah, I mean, he's always just on top of his game. He's very good at tech switches and things like that at just the right moment. So definitely a powerful player here. He's now gone for looks like I didn't see if it was 9 or 12 or but an early spawning pool before getting another hatchery, and mining gas as well. Going for some very quick Zerglings, probably getting the probably going to expect him to get the speed upgrade, and I think I just saw him pulling drones off of gas. So that's probably what he's gonna do that, and then switch over and get some more econ after that. Yeah, it's exactly what he's doing. So he's just going to try and kill off that probe. And, you know, oftentimes when you see a Zerg player do this, where they go for the speedlings and they kill off that probe early, it's because they have some sort of tricky game plan that they're going to try and enact, and they want to kill off that scouting probe so that the Protoss can't expect it and counter it. So maybe he's going to do something like that again. And oh, he had the probe trapped. He let it go. Let it go for just a moment there. But yeah, Jangby, of course, putting up those cannons. It's kind of an interesting map because you've got two different entrances to your natural expansion. So it's hard to block those two cannons because there's a side entrance as well. So, you know, it's a pretty good map if you're going to go for a lot of speedlings and come in from two directions. So maybe July Zerg's going to kill off that probe and then go for a bunch of lings or something. Who knows? We shall see.
Definitely. Bisu versus Savior is a great example of that, and there is Savior, by the way, so a little peek of him. Maybe we'll get to see Bisu versus Savior later this series if the stars align correctly. Looks like July is going to go for that double expand I was talking about, and he is going to be playing then most likely a relatively defensive game then to open up with. It depends on what Jangby does. He has the options of going really mass Zealot Templar or going Sarah Reaver. I actually think Sarah Reaver's almost never done this map because it's very open. Somebody tried doing it against Effort a little while ago, and Effort destroyed it with burrowed Hydralisks everywhere in the map, and that was a beautiful game to watch, and I'm sure July is capable of doing that. So, you know, it's too open for that. But the thing is, if they go speed lots, if Jangby goes speed lots, then July will probably want to go Lurkers and be able to defend his new expansion that he's got now at the 9 o'clock position. His other option is to go Mass Hydras, but I think of this map, we've seen the danger of going Mass Hydras and not having much you know, defense at your expansions. It's that the Protoss player can just really run around, give you the run around, and then you know, basically just prevent you from being able to engage their main force with your main force. Hydras are just not that maneuverable, and you know, later on they just become outmoded against Storm. So, but of course, July has a lot of different things he's done on this map. He also could go for some kind of 3-hatch build with Mutas. That's certainly a possibility. Anyway, looks like July is going to Lair, and he hasn't built any more than his initial 6 lings. Jangby, very, very cautious here, you know, sending out, looks like that's a 3rd probe. He might decide to send it out. But, you know, he certainly has to be cautious because one of the things July can do is mass ling and then just surround that natural expansion. Savior did that to beat Bisu in the MSL. But, you know, it looks like he's not going to do that. It might be just too obvious for him to do it over and over again as Zergs do.
I think what might be a good option here for Jangby is going for the Bisu build, first of all because he has 2 exits from his entrance. A single Overlord can scout, but it's really hard for Zerg players to get any sort of contain. It's hard to just contain a player in general on this map. And on the opposite end, July Zerg, no matter what, just to get to their expansion, is going to have to extend himself a little bit. So I think going for that Bisu build where you're just going to send those Dark Templar, try to punish an overexpanding Zerg. In this case, I wouldn't say it's overexpanding, but it's definitely expanding across a large portion of the map. The Dark Templar could really work out with that Corsair combination just because reinforcing is difficult, and you can sneak those Templar out without having to worry about shuttles and positions like that. Looks like at 4th hatchery going down now for July Zerg. And so I think that that looks like what Jangby is setting up for. I think that's a good option here. The question is how is July? What tech is he going to choose to counter it at this stage? I think it looks like he's probably going to favor Hydralisks instead of Mutalisks here. He's already got. Yeah. There's actually no. I take that back. He's putting up both ends, but getting that Spire first. This 4-hatchery build's actually been really popular lately because it's really flexible. You can kind of adapt to whatever your Protoss opponent's doing. However, I feel like it has opened up the Protoss players a little bit just because of the way the hatcheries are coming out and the way the troops are kind of aligned. I think it opens up them a little bit to the Bisu build. I'm not exactly sure why that is. Theoretically, at least I'm not sure what the theory craft, like the alignment behind that is. But I think part of it is just because you end up with too many Scourge going, because it allows Protoss players to get a lot of Corsairs out. And if they micro them well, they can take down the Scourge fairly easily. Going into it, and then you're basically playing somewhat. You've lost air superiority, and even if you have the Hydralisks, a good Protoss can manage to sneak it. And let's see if you can get those Corsairs back to home base. The nice thing about those Scourge early, though, is it does make pulling a Bisu build a little bit more difficult because you don't have those Corsairs to support to run out and take the Overlords down, kind of neutralizing it.
Yeah, the Bisu build is so hard to pull off these days because Zergs have adapted really well to it with getting mass Scourge. If they see a lot of Corsairs, sometimes they'll even just get a 8 to 10 Scourge and just try and go in and take out a few of the Corsairs. Or of course, you know, having Hydralisks. So you will not catch a Zerg player without an Overlord at all their bases these days because it's so used to it. But he is going out with some Dark Templar. It doesn't seem to be going out with Corsairs to support. He's just trying to get some free kills in, I think. Just trying to do what he can. And in the meantime, that'll distract July Zerg long enough for him to get some High Templar with Storm and that sort of thing as well. So, but probably going to see him, like you mentioned before, switch into more mass Hydras at this point is what I'm expecting. Oh, he did actually. Oh, he killed off one of the Overlords, but there's another one there. Scourge coming in to try and take out the Corsairs. They're going to take out one. More Scourge coming in. Are they going to be able to save that Overlord? They do not save the Overlord. Dark Templar come in, and wow, that Overlord died just before the Corsairs died. And this Dark Templar is going to get all kinds of kills now. 3 kills it looks like, and drive off the rest of the drones from that expansion. So that actually ended up being fairly effective, but it's only going to work that once because he doesn't have he doesn't have Corsairs anymore. Yeah, Dark Templar almost snuck into the main. Not quite, not quite. That Overlord came in at just the right moment. He picked it off with the Mutalisk. But wow, pretty exciting play here. I'm not sure how much of an army Jangby has though, and there's some Mutalisks massing up to go towards his main now. So let's see how he can react to that.
Yeah, I mean, Mutalisks, this is July's tech switch of choice. He really loves doing this, and it really is his signature tech switch, going to Mutas against Protoss at exactly the right moment to do some harassment, pick off High Templar, generally cause havoc. I would actually say the Bisu build is pretty bad against the 5-hatch build. It really actually prevents the Bisu build from working most of the times. In fact, the best counter against it is relatively fast speed lots and High Templar. Just a standard, you know, early attack game actually works out also pretty well, like fast speed lots with 2 Archons. That push is very strong against it because you start off with just a couple of Scourge and not many Hydras, and you really have to just kind of get your economy building. I think, anyway, it looks like July is going to be trying to go for a harass here. He's also picking off those Zealots. I don't know why Jangby's sending them out. He's not going to be able to accomplish anything, so it looks like Jangby is now, once again, bottled up. He sacrificed a lot to try to damage July's economy there at the bottom left, and he wasn't able to at all, really. And now July is probably going to make his characteristic switch back to Hydralisks now that he's forced the morphing of 2 Archons, because, you know, the Archons are not good against Hydralisks at all. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is about the 5-hatch build, it's really good because you get the Spire up first with your 5 hatcheries, and then you can either choose to go for Hydras against Corsair Reaver, or if there's Corsair DT, you know, or Corsair Zealots rather, you go just basically lots of Lurkers and Hydras, and looks like July is you know, opting to go mass Hydra here. That works just fine against what was a kind of a failed Bisu build and sort of late High Templar, and that's another problem with the Bisu build, is that you get DTs instead of Storm, and looks like, wow, Julyzer picks off another Corsair. Very nice.
Yeah, I think that attack was just forced Jangby at that 3 o'clock location, or at the 9 o'clock location. He ended up sacrificing 3 Corsairs to just get 3 drones, and that's not a very good exchange. With this is almost unfair. With the Mutalisk Micro that July has, especially on this map, the Archons, it just seems like they're worthless against him. The Archons do so much damage to the Mutalisk, but July is just imbalanced. Yeah, he's just imbalanced in and of himself. Pushing out, it's like the Archons are just completely hapless, completely impotent. A Storm there, not really catching. Able to catch a couple mules there. That's forcing Jangby to produce Corsairs to kind of chase that off. But those Corsairs, in the meantime, have been very vulnerable. Looks like he's going to end up losing another one here. But have been very vulnerable to those Scourge. It almost seems like he's playing right in July's hands. Right now, he's just trying to sneak an expansion and hope July doesn't see it, and he's going for a counterattack. I think this counterattack is. I don't know that this counterattack is going to be all that successful. That's a lot of Hydralisks to greet it, plus those Mutalisks out in the field. I think at this stage, just if July's kept up with his macro, he's going to be able to defeat this attack force without too much problem and be able to pounce on Jangby's expansion at the 3 o'clock. Maybe if Jangby can somehow get some cannons up there, it'll be okay. But otherwise, this is what I was talking about. It just kind of, once you have a player like July just playing a standard game on this map, you got to look out. He's just too strong. And now Jangby's isolated from his 3 o'clock, and I don't see any way that he's going to be able to keep it up. He's just hoping that July won't spot it out, basically.
Wow, and he can't really. Oh, Zerg now going in actually with all of his forces, dodging the first storm. He only has a couple storms left, and that's critical. Zerg is not usually good at dodging storms, but he may have enough units that it doesn't even matter. There's a huge clump of Hydralisks there. They're just storm bait, and he doesn't have the energy, and those new High Templar cast it. Oh my god! And he's having to run those Templar away. They're just chilling there. If he can kill off those Templar before they cast the Storm, it'll be gone. There goes the Storms, trying to morph an Archon, but he only takes out about a dozen Hydralisks. And Jelizark, unfortunately for Jangbi, has about a crap ton more. And his front door is now breached. Jangbi sending a desperate force of Zealots out to another end of the map just to try and cause a distraction, but this game is over. His front is breached. He won't have another storm for another 20. Never mind, he won't have any more storms. The High Templar are dying as they pop out of the gateways now. And wow, so Jelizark just playing that beautifully, just going back and forth, basically controlling the whole game, forcing Jangbi to do every single thing he wanted to, and then proceeding to the next step where he has the exact counter of what he forced Jangbi to get. So brilliant play by July, and yeah, I mean, Jangbi couldn't move out and attack because he couldn't bring the Templar with him because the Mutalist would kill the Templar. Got stuck in his base until Jelizark decided to pounce.
Yeah, he made Jangbi look bad. I mean, Jangbi usually is a very, very solid player. Plays better in this, but July made him look like the Rock or Backhoe there, who he did beat on the way to winning the last OSL, and obviously best at the end. GG.